Welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Pamela, Content Marketing Manager at Pixelz. Thank you for joining us for this video webinar. We're just going to go ahead and invite our guest for the day onto the stage. So Mick, you want to pop in here and join us?
Yes. Hi, Pamela.
Hey, Mick, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you for coming back. Mick joined us almost a year ago to also talk about video. So glad to have you back. And hello to everyone out there. If you are listening, jump in the chat over there, say hello. We'd love to know where you're joining from. And actually, if you are already creating video content, drop us a little smiley face in the chat over there. So Mick, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role at Pixelz and your kind of long history with video?
Sure. So, yeah, I'm currently product manager here at Pixelz. I've been with Pixelz for soon to be 3 years, a bit over 2 years now. And I have a background working with post-production and outsourcing specifically. So I've been out in Vietnam for 10 years, or a little bit over 10 years, working with different production companies out there. Also several of those years with video production. So have some experience with video post-production, I would say.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, please, everyone, hit us up over in the chat if you have any questions throughout the webinar, and we'll answer them over there. All right. So, Mick, you've got this long history with video. And then you and I, in preparation for this webinar, have been spending a lot of time talking about video and examples of e-commerce video. When we take a look around, and you and I have been looking at all of these e-commerce pages, what do you think is happening with video right now?
So from, at least from what I'm seeing, I would say that seeing more and more brands getting into working with video in different shapes and forms. I think especially over the last year and a couple of years, seeing much more creativity and diversity in terms of videos. So seeing a lot of experimentation and trying to move around different formats and try to figure out kind of like where they fit into this space and how they want to present videos on their listings on their sites.
Yeah, and I mean, when we've been taking a look around at different video, you can also see everything is a little bit different right now, from the length of some videos being a few seconds to, you know, I'm talking like 5 to 6 seconds up to 18 seconds. We're seeing all different things. Also, when it comes to quality, and when we were talking before, you had mentioned what you view as sort of your rule of 80-20. What's your sort of 80-20 theory, I guess is a better way to put it?
Yeah, sure. No, well, so I think what can be said about that is that like having a video will kind of give you 80% of the advantage. I think
any video
is, yeah, I mean, any video to some extent, right? Of course, it can be within some reason. But I think that having just a video of any sort of like gives the potential buyers or people interested in the products a lot of information about how the product works, what it's like to wear, materials and these different properties. So you can say whether you have a very high production quality video or quote unquote just a simple walkthrough video or even some behind the scene video. I think we'll have some examples to share later. It all kind of like gives incredibly much information to the potential buyers about the product that you can't really get from images alone, at least. And then to put the 20% in there, I think that's just where we see the more higher production value or clever use of creativity to kind of incorporate story and brand messages into it, which you can really lay on top of these videos. But I think the essence is that having videos is really effective, and it's more important to have a video than to to not have a video, I would say.
And so we put out a poll on LinkedIn about a week ago, I think, and we asked people whether or not they think social media is influencing why we're seeing a rise in video, or even the type of video we're seeing. Any guess? What percentage said yes, that social media is influencing the video that we're now seeing? What do you think, Mick?
I would say it's really high.
Yeah.
So
it was 91% said yes. I actually do not remember how many people responded. I think a good fair amount of people did respond. But I bring this up, and we put that poll up because you and I, in preparation for this, had talked a lot about social media and influencers. I know, and aside from the e-commerce stuff, we've also spent time talking about Mr. Beast signing a deal with Prime Video. Like, the impact, we can't ignore what is happening with these, with TikTok and things like that, impacting what we see in our everyday life.
No, exactly. And I think as we've seen examples, and also from other talks with people in the industry, is that it's definitely true that this concept of influencer marketing is really becoming a real thing. And as you mentioned, the example of like Mr. Beast, who's the biggest YouTuber of our generation, actually signing a deal with Amazon Prime, it just goes to show that it's not just a trend. I think it's a real thing, and I think it's also something brands are paying attention to. So both how they can maybe learn from these influencers, but probably also we will see more and more deals where brands are trying to tap into the audiences of these influencers as well. So I think it's influencing the industry in different ways, both in like what video should look like, or what effective video look like, but also in terms of like marketing, like tapping into different channels and so on. And I think it's definitely a new strategy for a lot of companies.
Yeah, I mean, right. It used to be kind of downstream, right? Influencers affected the consumers, and now it seems like some of these social media figures are now influencing the brands themselves, which is interesting. And these influencers we're talking about are not making mediocre product videos or YouTube videos anymore. So with that, we are going to take a look at some examples we pulled of just some different versions of e-commerce video we saw that we think are interesting reflections of trends or what's happening. So bear with me as I pull up the first example, which is piggybacking off of what we just spoke about, Mick, and sort of this TikTok social media influence. I've kind of surprised Mick. This was not the original video we're supposed to look at. So here we have the video of the model. We'll give it a second and to start over, because that is what I wanted everyone to see.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting. It's similar to the example that we had to go over before, Pamela, so don't worry about that.
Okay, good.
But I think what's interesting here is that they decided to have the model, the videos start with the model being by the camera, almost as if it was the model actually shooting this video on her own. And I think this is a kind of like a good example of how this kind of influencer social media type video has made an impact. It's a twist, at least. Definitely in some inspiration there, I believe, from social media.
Yeah, this is. Don't worry, I speak fluent TikTok. This is what the kids call fitspo, right? Did I say that? Yeah, outfit inspiration. And it always starts like that, right? Someone on the street pressing play on their camera and walking away. I also think it's quite genius because you're still getting the standard ecom walkabout, walk in, walk out, but with like a tiny little addition of something that feels relatable to whoever's shopping. I would love
I
to.
agree. So I think exactly what you say. I think it's a nice way to kind of break down the barrier a little bit. It's still quite high production value. You still have great lighting, and you have consistency between the video and the other images of the product. But then you have that feeling that it could be something that your favorite influencer would have done, or even yourself if you're someone that have a small influencer dream in your tummy or something like that.
Yeah, you now know exactly how it's going to look in your own TikTok video. Give us like a thumbs up, a smiley face in the chat. How would you react to this video? Is this a winner in your book? You can drop an emoji to tell us how you feel about this video in the chat. Okay, we're going to move on to another example, which sort of still lives within this social media realm, I would like to call it. Here we go. Are we all seeing this? No one can respond to me.
It's up. Sorry.
All right. So this one, for me, is very different than what I'm used to seeing on the PDP. It feels it's more vibey. There's more of an aesthetic.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because for this, it almost looks a bit like a kind of like a wedding dress, or like some cocktail dress. I'm not an expert on dresses, so I might be wrong saying wedding dress, but I can see how this video kind of combines two things. So there's like kind of like home video feel to it, kind of like behind the scene thing of her kind of getting ready with the dress, and then you kind of finish it off with this kind of like Instagram post snapshot there. So you kind of combine the getting ready for the party and like this is what my selfie is going to look like when I wear this dress later tonight, which I think is actually quite creative.
I like so Natalie in the comments said they're also tackling one of a bride's biggest problem. Can you sit in it? Which is, I mean, very true. It's interesting that Natalie brought that up because I think I honestly view this as such a sort of more aspirational type of video, but they are actually showing some functionality of the dress off. And I'm a sucker for sort of the behind the scenes photo shoot vibes in a video personally. I like that type of video. Leave your comments or your emoji again on this sort of behind the scenes vibe video. And I also wanted to mention briefly, there are a lot of women's clothing items in these videos, and that's probably a topic to tackle another day, or to get some insight on from some people in the industry. But I feel like we often see a lot more videos for women's clothing items than men's, but please correct me if I'm wrong. All right.
I'm not a big shopper, but at least I don't often see videos on when I do. So I think with my limited expertise in that area, I think you're right in your assumption at least on that.
Yeah. So we're going to sort of move into a different topic area because Mick and I actually wanted to be able to talk a bit about color and how you approach color in matching the video to the image. And we actually kind of realized that's not the conversation to be had. It comes down to what type of video are you putting on the PDP? Is it sort of the straight product focused video, or are you trying to create some sort of aspirational vibe for your customers. So the first one we have up is, all right, did we switch?
Yeah, we switched.
So we've got this very nice dress from ASOS. And you can see in the pictures, we've got a very shiny material. We've got dark red and red. So the video here, super standard, I would say.
But here it gets interesting with the colors all of a sudden, right? Because here you start to see the dynamics of the dress, and I think this is a really good example of how having a video kind of just adds a lot of information about the dress. If you would have looked at the images alone, it would have been hard to understand how kind of dramatic this dress actually can be. So at least here we have a good example of how video can really show off the properties and the colors of a dress.
Yeah, and what we wanted to show off with these examples was kind of like color really comes down to, are you really focused on showing off all the aspects of the product, or are you focused on telling a story? There's no right or wrong, right? It's just what you tend to notice when you're looking around on the PDP of different brands. And so the next video we were going to show was going to highlight storytelling. And here we go. A few days ago, when I was pulling some videos for this webinar, there was an editorial video here. And as I was queuing up all my tabs today for the webinar, the editorial video is gone. So we decided to keep it in here because I thought it was interesting how fast they changed up their video. Why would you think that they've decided to swap out this video, Mick?
Well, I would like to say that it backs up my first statement on this webinar, but of course that's my speculation. But obviously we can't show you the first example, but the first example was almost sort of like behind the scene. It was a bit higher production value. It was more editorial than behind the scene, but it's not impossible to think that they might have shot it doing the actual photo shoot and then just kind of edited in a nice way. So my best guess would be that either they're testing something or they just had a way to actually put a video online quicker. Maybe they did the shoot on location first, and then only a few days later they had the chance to shoot in studio, and they knew what we think we all know is that video needs to go up quick and be there so that you can sell more products.
Yeah, this right here, this sort of editorial lifestyle type image here, it was this model, this background where the video came from. But now, yeah, it's this version of straight product. You know, they could be testing. It could be based on, who knows, my location, my history of having visited this this page multiple times. We don't actually know what any of the back end here is set up for. But I quite liked the editorial video. I think for this brand and this dress, I thought the editorial video was really nice. Told a story, but we can also see here that they've chosen to really highlight the product. So yeah, it could be, sorry, Alexandra's chiming in here with, it could be history related. The fact that maybe I visited this page now for the third time, they decided to drop me a new video. But it is interesting to look at how different brands are using these things. And I had one last one that was very quick, because it's been, for whatever reason, a favorite of mine look at, because I think it speaks to, can we see the, yes. For me, it speaks a bit to what you've been talking about, Mick, which is I'm making an assumption that this video was taken during the photo shoot. There's some photos with this model in the crosswalk, and it's only 6 seconds. It's telling a story. I think it speaks a bit to what you said in the beginning about it feels like they decided we want video and we're just going to shoot something and see how it works on the PDP. So I personally quite like this short little aesthetic vibe.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe repeating myself here a little bit at least, but I'm heavily biased, of course. But I think you're actually right, and I think it's probably like a really low hanging fruit for them to shoot that extra video and get that online. And in this example, they've also chosen to do it black and white, so it is more just to have some video in there and tell a bit of story and stuff like that. And I think now I'm not shopping for this type of clothes, but I still think it adds something, right? It adds a bit of attitude. That's a bit of like, it sparks some kind of emotion in me about the product and so on. So even a short video like this still gives you quite valuable information about the product.
Absolutely. So that was our little foray into looking at some examples. Obviously, go out there and look for yourself a little bit, because this was a lot of female-focused brands. So if anyone knows any brands out there that are doing a lot of video for a lot more clothing for someone other than female, I'd love to see it, because I kept coming up with a lot of examples from female-focused brands. All right, so those were our little examples of the PDP. So let's talk about creating videos, post-production, and what you've been building, Mick. You are a product manager at Pixelz, so you've been working on building out what we offer in Pixelz.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you like me to play the video?
Yeah, sure. Then I can do a little bit as we go.
Yeah, so we're going to share. We've pre-recorded this video just to avoid any technical difficulties. And here we go. This is the
so here we are on the
platform.
order page of exactly. Here we are on the order page on our platform. And what we're seeing here is a few different orders. So there's 3 video orders as well as an image editing order. For those of you that are familiar with our platform, you will be also very familiar with what we're seeing. So now with video, we of course just implemented that the orders directly on the order page. And on the order page, you will be able to see the different statuses of your orders. So starting from the top here, it's a bit hard to see on my screen, but at least you could see that an order is in re-edit, the first one on the top there, and then the next one here is ready for approval, meaning that it's been produced and is ready for you to approve it, and then the last one is ready for download, so ready to go live essentially.
So we're going to take a look at the ready for approval video.
Exactly. And the first thing you see when you come in here is the output section, you can say. So this is all the completed videos or outputs from the video order. In this case, it's a video and a still frame extracted from the video. And then below it, we have our input section, which is where we display all the uploaded materials, assets that were submitted. So in this case, color reference, as well as a few raw camera files. Ungraded. And then we have our documents tab, where any non-media file will be collected. So these are camera sidecar files, metadata files, or even like a preset or a project file, something like that. So any non-media file. Then moving back in here to the media tab, we can go and open the full screen preview or close up as we call it. And in here you can see your videos in full screen in all the glory. And on the right side we have our gallery where you can toggle between the different outputs that were produced. Here is the still frame that was extracted from the video. And then we can open up our split view where you can
This is for like color reference mainly, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is where you do your quality control, quality assurance to make sure that the videos are color balanced or color matched correctly to the reference, and you will be able to also check the uploaded video files here. And even though these files are actually raw camera files, so they were quite large when they were uploaded, then we convert them to make them lightweight and easy to play back on the web here.
So if you want you can look back and see if you want like a different part of the clip edited into the final, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is that you can go in and check if we captured the right elements, or if you think something is missing. Exactly. And then I think if you can just scroll back a little bit in the video, then we can just get the last bit a little bit further. There. Yeah. So, and then just the last thing to say here is that we have obviously the ability to either approve or reject the videos in case that is so. In case any rework is needed on any of the video, then you can put in comments here, and it will be sent back for production. So that's kind of like the platform we built, and I think having worked a lot with video post-production in the past, I think it's extremely useful to have like one single place where you can have all your files lightweight, because normally having like raw camera files on a drive or on a server or on a hard disk, and then having to open them up in one viewer and then pull up your reference in another one and then play back the edited video in a third place, it can be a little bit cumbersome, and at least it requires you to have a dual monitor setup available and like have all your materials ready. And then if you have multiple videos you have to go through, and then notes, and some of them need to be rejected. So I think this is it's turned out pretty well. I think our leaning on our existing platform has been obviously a great help. It's not like we built so much. It's basically just implemented video in our, if I have to say, pretty okay platform already. So.
Well, some of the people out there don't get the Danish humor, but I can assure you, Mick is kidding. No, yeah. As the person that received all of these raw files from the studio, I can tell you it nearly killed my laptop. My laptop was not built to receive that many raw video files. We do have a question in here real quick. Do you support multi-clip into a single video workflow?
Yes. So as we also saw in this demo before, as it is that we also had multiple inputs here. So, but essentially, yes, what we do, the way we work is that we set up sort of like a template, and a template meaning that we align on a kind of like style guide, if you want. So for a specific, let's say a PDP walkthrough, then we know that we're going to have 1 or 2 clips in the final output, and you may have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 clips typically in the input, and then we just select the cuts and based on kind of like the agreed style guide. So yeah, multiple clip is definitely okay. We do both color matching. We have some example of doing color matching as a standalone service, you can say. For one reason or the other, we have some clients that do the kind of like the rough edit on their side. And then we also do have other workflows where we do both the editing and the color matching as part of the process.
Yeah, and real quick, Mick, was this final video made from all those multiple clips down below?
Yeah, we used at least the element from
Okay.
more than one of them. So I in this particular case there was probably a bit too much overlap between the 3 clips. So but we will select the best cuts from there. So most natural movements and so on.
All right. Thank you so much, Mick. Can you believe we're out of time? Thank you everyone so much for joining us. If you have, we'll be sending a follow-up email with some other resources related to video. And then if you have any questions about video itself, you can always visit us at pixelz.com, and we'll get back to you on there about video. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye, Mick.
Thank you, Pamela.